So let's talk pedal board signal chain. Now, I want to break this up into a few different videos because there's a lot to cover here, and I want to go over signal chain, but also the different routing setups for pedal boards, like mono, stereo, for cable method, wet, dry, wet, that sort of thing. So for now, let's just start with a simple mono setup and signal chain. So to start, you want to go with your impedance sensitive pedals first. These are your fuzzes, your vintage wahs, vintage treble boosters. Typically, fuzzes are going to be in this category primarily. Now, if you have something like a vintage fuzz face, this would fall into that category. It won't react properly or sound right if you put it after a buffer. So you want these pedals first, and then you want to hit your input buffer. Now, the ideal spec for this is a 1 meg input impedance and a 100 ohm output impedance. That's ideal. If you can get close to that, you're still okay, but you want to try to be as close to that as possible. So up next would be your tuner and your dynamic effects. So tuner as close to the guitar as we can get it, with the exception of the buffer. And then your dynamic pedals are your pitch effects, your compression, and your filters. So an envelope filter or a wah or a POG or some sort of pitch shifter or octaver, and any compressors would ideally go here. All of these react directly to the dynamics of the guitar. So you want to have these as close to the guitar as you can, with the exception of the buffer and the tuner. So now let's talk about gain section. So this would be your distortions, your overdrives, your boosts, and maybe even an EQ pedal. So ideally with this section, you want to feed high gain into low gain. Now, the reasoning behind this is if you're stacking your overdrives, and this really only applies if you're stacking your overdrives. If you're using a low gain pedal and then you stack it with a high gain pedal before it, you're not going to oversaturate that low gain overdrive. Whereas if it's the opposite and you're using a high gain pedal and then you feed more saturation into it with a low gain pedal, you risk oversaturating it and then you lose a lot of clarity in your signal. So ideally go high gain into low gain. You won't lose that clarity. You won't lose any high end from that either. Now with boosts, you can put it before or after your gain section. If it goes before, it can kind of be a clean boost or a gain boost. It'll feed more signal into your overdrives and distortions. If you put it after, it's going to be a volume boost. So you can set the volume on that if you just need a lead boost, set the volume for a little bit more than unity, and all of your overdrive section will feed into that. So stay tuned for the next video and we'll go over volume pedals, noise gates, and wet effects and where they go in the signal chain and how everything is affected by that.